Now, Sammy, before we start, are you listening closely?
Are you watching closely?
Well, yes, I amended it.
Oh, yeah, because it's a podcast, so true. Listening. Yeah. Badum-tus.
I bet that sound effect's on there.
It's probably one of these.
Oh, not that one. That one takes forever.
Stop. Nope, not that one.
There we go. There we go. Hello, film fans. Welcome to All the Film Things. I'm your host, Elizabeth. Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, please leave a review and a rating. Also follow All the Film Things on Instagram for updates and more film things. Today's episode is the second edition of my favorite segment of this podcast, no offense to film finds or film Twitter trends, Nolanception. Last year around this time, my guest and I talked about the non-linearity of Christopher Nolan films, and today we are talking about the scores in Christopher Nolan films. And joining me is the Nolanception staple guest, my fellow Nolan-obsessed friend, writer-director, Samy El Kamel. He has a new short film in the works called Anatomy of a Panic Attack, which may still be accepting donations by the time this episode is released, but if not, make sure you check out Barefoot Python Media on Instagram and YouTube, and stay updated on Sammy's films and his work. Welcome back, Samy, and thank you for joining me today.
Let's go. Happy to be here. Might I add, by the way, that this is your favorite segment, and we've only done one episode. How crazy is that?
That first episode was my favorite episode I've ever done.
Let's go.
Because this is our
work.
chance to, nerd out on something so niche about Nolan, and how often do we get the chance to do that?
Yeah, if I start yapping about for an hour and a half about Christopher Nolan to anyone in any other circumstance, it wouldn't work. So.
No. They wouldn't have the patience.
Started yapping about any movie related. If I started yapping for that long about anything, I'd be like, "Shut up, man." So, this is a nice little safe space to geek out.
Oh yes.
Yeah, always a pleasure being on the podcast.
This is
Usually
your 12th
there's a whole
time.
Group of people. 12th. Wow.
12th, which happens to be the exact number of feature films the great Sir Christopher Nolan has directed.
Would you look at that? That's
what do you know?
Crazy, actually. I didn't even realize that.
12th time, second most frequent guest. And I'm so thrilled, again, to be recording this. And we were talking about this before. We've been talking about doing an episode on scores for a while. Probably around the time we figured out the non-linearity topic that we did last time. And you even said that you thought I forgot about this.
Yeah, it's been a long time since the last one. I was like, man, are we gonna do this again or what? But,
well, you're on other episodes, and I always feel bad to ask you on too many times. So I just.
I don't know, if I'm free, if I'm not working or doing something else, I'm in.
All right.
I'm down.
Good to know. Now, again, the first episode within this segment was on non-linearity in Christopher Nolan films, and I always get excited for these episodes, but for this one, I'm very nervous because, again, I told you earlier, I don't have the vocabulary to discuss music like I can with film, and I'm concerned I'll say nothing of substance and sound like I don't know a thing, which is always a concern, but the thought of not doing Nolan's films justice terrifies me. But I hope you feel a little bit more confident diving into this massive subject today.
I mean, I said too, I'm not like, I love music, almost as much as I love movies, but, I'm not as educated in music. I just kind of love music as a art that I just receive, not so much analyze in the same way I analyze movies. I can name instruments and technical terms here and there, but it's not like you're about to hear me break down these tracks and say, oh, the quarter note on this time, you know what I'm getting at. I think we're just here to talk about the quality of the music in Nolan's films, but also how those weave into the movie also. I just mean this is still at the end of the day about Nolan as a director and his movie, so I think a large part of this discussion will just be about the music, but just also primarily in the way that it relates to the movies as well,
Yes, that's a relief that you don't know all the specifics, then I would have been so out of my depth. Now, I've known you to be a frequent listener of film scores, so I'm curious what made you start listening to film scores separately from the films for which the score is made, and if Nolan films are the reason you got into regularly listening to scores.
Well, I mean, I always enjoyed listening, I love music, like I just said, and even when I was younger and would watch movies and TV shows and play video games and stuff, the soundtracks and musical content of those still stuck out to me. I would never listen to them separately. It took me, I don't know what specifically made me start listening to movie scores. If I'm being honest, I think it just was a gradual. I always loved music, and even then, soundtracks stood out to me. But just in the sense that, hey, this sounds cool, and it never went beyond that. And I guess as I got older and watched movies more and more, and became more educated and passionate about the medium, and started like isolating aspects of film, like instead of just being like, oh, I like this movie, and I could start talking about I like this parts of this movie. I think it just became a natural thing over time. Something that was always just destined to happen, I guess, that I would start listening to soundtracks and scores. And yeah, I would say Nolan's scores are primarily the ones that I would listen to a lot, because the thing with music that I listen to most of the time, and there's always exceptions depending on the setting, depending on what I'm doing, but like I like listening to engaging music, and a lot of movie soundtracks are good. I wouldn't say engaging unless you're watching them alongside the film itself. Like on their own, they're good musical passages, but nothing that I'm really feeling like riveted by. At least that's how it started out, you know? And so Nolan scores, I mean, we're going to get into it, but it kind of goes without saying. You put on a Hans Zimmer album, and I mean, it's not going to be boring, you know? There's going to be the impact, there's going to be this. So that was kind of the vessel for me to listen to more scores on their own. And so I would listen to Nolan scores on their own, and then we'll get into, you know, other scores that maybe I liked in the past but never listened to on their own, because in my head maybe I felt like it just wouldn't be engaging or riveting enough. But now I'll listen to any score. If the music sounds good, I'll listen to it, you know? So Nolan was kind of the gateway drug, I would say.
Was there one specific film that really got you into listening to the scores on its own?
A Nolan? Like, we're talking like strictly Nolan, right?
Yeah.
Man, you know, I would say Interstellar. Like that, the day one theme from Interstellar is, I mean, it's kind of iconic, you know, and that,
like several others on that.
And that was just like, I just remember hearing that and being like, this deserves to be, I can't only hear this music when I'm watching the movie. Like, this deserves to be, I need to hear this just by myself. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I need to hear this. And that's kind of how it began, you know. And the ones I've really been obsessed with are some of his later ones, like freaking Tenet and Oppenheimer. Those are fantastic scores. And, you know, we'll get into those, I imagine. But, but yeah, I would say Dark Knight too. I mean, kind of iconic.
I mean, that's so iconic.
Yeah, but probably Interstellar, like properly, where I heard a musical passage frequently used in the film, and I just remember being like, dude, this is, I cannot only listen to this if the movie's playing. Like, this is just so good, and it needs to be in my ears. Like, at any time I want.
Gosh, I have so many other questions I could ask you about this, but it is a giant topic, so I guess I'll bypass them and ask you, should we do the top 5 scores now or at the end?
I mean, I'm cool either way. Like, yeah, let's do it at the end.
At the end? Okay.
Yeah.
First film, Nolan's feature film debut, Following. Now, that score is very anxiety-inducing. It's very fast-paced. It's dark. Like all scores of Nolan's films, there's slow moments, there's quieter ones, but the most famous is like the break-in track. It keeps one steady beat while also slowly adding more of the same at an increasing speed. And it's kind of what I imagine. I haven't seen Good Time, but maybe you have. I kind of imagine that's what Good Time feels like because of the immense anxiety it provokes in the audience.
The score of Following kind of reminds me of the score of Memento a little bit too, which maybe vice versa, I should say. But the score of Following is like one of those pieces of work that, much like the movie itself, like you can hear a lot of what Nolan would become. You can see a lot of that in the movie, and you can hear some of that in the music too. Like, it is a lot more paranoid and, I guess, intense than some of his other scores end up being. But there are some of these, like, every now and then there will be these swells in this movie, and there's a couple of like extended notes where it almost felt like Inception was like pushing through a little bit there. Much like the movie itself. I mean, where the movie itself almost feels like a blueprint for Inception, the score to that almost does as well in some key moments. But yeah, it is mostly like a tense kind of keep you on the edge of your seat kind of score, almost a bit more traditional, which, I mean, makes sense. It is his first movie, so, and he made that for pretty cheap. So
yes, let's see. I mean, some of these others we're probably going to be talking about more in depth, I think.
Yeah, of course. Naturally.
The scores, I don't know if I'd say they continuously get better. That's, I think, going to be interesting for our top 5 rankings.
I think they definitely hit. You could kind of tell when Nolan started taking the music in his movies a bit more seriously than in the past. I mean, those first three, I would say, like following Insomnia, which barely feels like a Nolan movie. I mean, I feel like you could tell he kind of made that one to fall in some studio's good graces, so they let him make more of his future work. It really does feel like one of those movies that, listen, I'm still a brand new director. I gotta build a good repertoire. So sure, yeah, I'm gonna remake Insomnia. Fuck it, let's do it. You know, that's getting a bit outside the topic, but those first three scores and even Mementos, I would say they're still good, but you could tell, man, right after that, he started to kind of take the music in his movies way more seriously.
Yes.
Way more, yeah.
I felt like following Memento and Insomnia, the first three, have some very similar sounds, even The Prestige as well. I mean, they're all done by David Julian, who Nolan worked with in the first part of his career, Hans Zimmer later, and then Ludwig Göransson. But he has a very distinct sound that's continuously used. So if I listen to like Oppenheimer and Tenet like I did today, I can tell such a difference between those scores. But if I listen to the first three films interchangeably, I would have a tougher time noting which goes to which film, I think.
Well, but and even in some of those way more recent ones, you can still hear like just faint echoes of those beginning works also. I mean, even in like Betrayal from Tenet and even some of the notes in Oppenheimer, like these two notes. See, I told you, I'm probably saying this wrong when I say two note, but the whole idea of Betrayal, where it's like just two kind of notes that layer over each other, you kind of do hear a little bit of that in Memento too. And in Guy Pearce's like monologue when he's talking about how can I move on if I can't remember, you know, that initial monologue where he's like sitting in the bed in the middle of the night, the music does kind of swell in that scene in a very similar way that Betrayal swells in Tenet when Kat is first explaining her whole, you know, how she's trapped in her marriage to the protagonist.
Now, we've been talking a little bit about Memento, which I found very stylized and very much a modern crime thriller film score, but also empathetic when it needs to be. And it is at times ultra stylized, but just very experimental in some tracks.
Well, Memento has, I mean, you think about the whole entire movie of Memento is constructed to kind of make you feel just as paranoid as Leonard does also, and over the course of the movie kind of is also constructed to make you start to question him. And we've spoken about this before, how as the movie goes on, you kind of, there's like a key moment almost in the movie where you're like, time out, I've been taking this guy's word this whole time and he can't even fucking remember what happened 15 minutes ago, like and I feel like the music is designed in such a way too. There are these very paranoid, like you said, it does feel like a standard crime thriller score. The movie, if you were to play it in order, is pretty much a standard crime thriller also. I mean, it is all about the structure that makes it as unique as it is. And so but I'm sorry?
Nolanized,
exactly. But I would say the music probably is just more of a contributor in that movie to the ultimate feeling that, you know, it gives you. It doesn't feel like its own separate entity in the same way that some of his later scores do.
Yes. Some of it felt like I could hear it in a Fincher film.
Whoa, yeah, okay, I can hear it. Yep. I could hear that in like Zodiac or something probably.
Yeah, especially Motel Room, arriving at the motel. That's something I'd want to hear in like Seven or something.
It's funny you say that. I could see Fincher doing something similar to Memento if he really wanted to.
Yeah.
I've never even thought about that before.
Really?
Only because you brought up that. Just never really thought. But now that I really think about it, like if Fincher really wanted to, he could do something similar to Memento.
He could.
And it could work, you know? Crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Another Brad Fincher film in the making.
Memento remake, Brad Pitt as Leonard.
Can you imagine? No.
I would probably sign on. He'd probably be like, oh, you want to cut Brad Pitt, David Fincher? Okay, it's fine. Okay.
He'll take on something from Tarantino, and then he'll take on something from Nolan.
Right. Yeah, what about that? I kind of forgot about that too. Fincher's casually directing a
no big deal
sequel. Like, what the okay.
Finally getting a Brad Fincher reunion, and it's from a Tarantino source material.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And they dropped that news on April Fool's too. Like, what a horrible day to drop that news. They dropped it and I was like, good one, motherfuckers. And then I woke up the next morning and they were still talking about it. And I was like, oh, wow, okay.
Now, in Memento, the last track, well, I don't know if it's the last track, but it's used in the end credits, I believe, is David Bowie's Something in the Air, which is rare for Nolan to use source music, previously released music. I think this is one of, if not the only time, because the plan was made for Tenet.
I mean, it did come out before Tenet movie, but you're right. It was made with with that in mind. Yeah.
Integrated with the score. So.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think any of his. I almost wanted to say one of the Batman movies did that, but no, it didn't. So
no,
that's it. Yeah.
And as much of a David Bowie fan as he was, a Radiohead song was the first choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
He also loves Radiohead too. So
yeah, of course, my man.
Now let's see. Some of the score, I got little hints of like the sound from. Do you know the song "NDA" by Billie Eilish?
I'm sure if I heard it, I might recognize it, but I couldn't. I couldn't like just reference it like that offhand.
Okay, because the beginning of that song sounds like it's used in the Memento score in little places, like the Facts/Tattoos starts off similarly to that, and then that sound is featured a little bit in Losing Control Tattoo Parlor, but that was just a little thing. I didn't know how familiar you were, if you caught that too, but it was very subtle. Insomnia. Now, in the episode prior to this one, with Cole, and I would like you to respond to this if you'd like, Cole called Insomnia mid and below average.
I mean, but below average as a Christopher Nolan movie or just as a movie in general?
He said below average at first, and then he corrected himself and said in a Nolan film.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I mean, like, I do think that I do feel that Insomnia is a movie that Nolan had to make and didn't necessarily want to make. I've never like actually researched this, so I could be wrong. Maybe he was foaming at the mouth to remake Insomnia, but it just doesn't strike me as a movie that Chris Nolan really wanted to make, because even as an adaptation, I mean, The Prestige is an adaptation, and I've never read The Prestige, but all the online discourse that I've seen says that Nolan took a lot of liberties with the book, and like the movie necessarily, like you could still read the book and get a different experience in the movie. And Insomnia is more of like a faithful kind of remake. So I mean, I would, all this is to say, I would agree with Cole that if I'm in the mood for a Nolan movie, I'm not gonna pick up Insomnia. Like I have to be in that specific mood. Like I just want to see Insomnia for some reason. And you know what? I can be in that mood. I almost was recently. Like, but just Nolan and Insomnia are not synonymous for me, honestly. Which all of that is to say, I really don't remember much of the score, if I'm being real.
Very atmospheric.
Yeah, I would imagine it's probably like, because the movie is atmospheric and kind of moody and gets into Al Pacino's head, and so I'm not gonna have much to say about it. The Insomnia score, truthfully.
Okay. Now this one I did rewatch recently for the first time since I was like 15. I did enjoy it. I think probably more than I did, and I think it would be a best for many other filmmakers. But Nolan, of course, is like in the stratosphere, and no one could touch Nolan. So, with that said, I did enjoy the score. It's not one of my favorites, but like Nolan films, there's no bad film. There's no bad film by Nolan, no bad score by Nolan.
Well, so what? So you would disagree with Cole then? You wouldn't even say Insomnia is a mid-movie?
Of course I disagree with Cole. That's the basis of everything. That guy drives me crazy. He bantered with me from the beginning of that Film Finds episode. Because he won't tell me how to pronounce his last name.
Isn't it Echevarria?
I don't know.
Echevarria?
He says one day when I'm older I'll learn.
Oh my god, when I'm older. Nice.
Keep in mind I'm older than him, so just...
Are you really?
Yes. Wait, hold on. Do I look older?
No, I'm just because Cole's like freaking like married and stuff and like...
Engaged.
Oh, okay.
So I did find an article ranking Nolan's top 10 scores.
Ooh, are we going to take a little break to assess that?
I figured, hopefully if there's time. It's for movieweb.com. The writer of that article, Federico Forzan, about Insomnia, he wrote, Julian's composing work for Insomnia is truly one of the best of his entire career. He uses traditional symphonic sounds to add emotional power to the film, and very often he uses nothing but a piano to accompany the main character's descent into darkness of his circumstances. This is one of the most ambient and atmospheric scores in Nolan's oeuvre. Notable track, the achingly sad and well-titled Let Me Sleep. Oh, that moment at the end.
You know, we're talking about this now. I almost rewatched Insomnia because before this episode, I got so freaking busy all the time, man, but I wanted to fit in a rewatch for at least one Nolan movie. Ideally, I wanted it to be more than one, but I just knew it wasn't going to happen. And
same here.
I really almost did Insomnia. I really did. And I was like, just because I've seen it one time, and I remember watching it, liking it.
I thought you've seen it a few times.
No, I've seen Insomnia one.
Wow.
One time actually, just once, right? Maybe twice. But I just remember, like, watching it, I was like, okay, this is good. Doesn't feel like a Nolan movie though. But I want to go back and watch it now and see how much of Nolan I can extract from that movie. You know what I mean? And I have a feeling when I revisit it, the score might be like, when, right?
There's no way you're not going to ever watch a Nolan film ever again, one and done.
No, I know. Maybe I just feel bad because I don't have much to say about Insomnia, and
that's okay.
It's not the movie, but it's not the movie's fault. It really is just mine. Like, it's not a bad movie. It's just not like, oh, I'm in a Nolan mood today. Like, Insomnia, like, nah,
Sure.
But that's all it is.
I understand that, and of course, as we go, we're going to be talking more and more about these other films. So it's okay if we don't have as much to say about Insomnia and the first three, especially because, again, they share a lot of the same sounds. Next film, the first of the trilogy, Batman Begins. I
love this. I love the Batman Begins score.
Classic
and the
Batman score.
The Begins score is just retroactively boosted by, like, how much the following two sequels incorporate the sounds from Batman Begins. Like, I honestly feel like the whole trilogy should just be talked about, like, together. Like, it's just kind of crazy, like, because, and I don't know these titles in Begins very well, because the titles
they're like Latin or something.
Yeah, the titles in Begins are like kind of, hold on, let me just pull this up.
Oh, I have it. Vespertilio,
Epdesicus, Myotis, Barbastella. Like, dude, I'm definitely not saying any of these right. At least in The Dark Knight and Rises, they're like have normal names. But no, I really like. I love the Batman Begins score. I have nothing remotely short of excellent to say about it. Like, it feels like a mythological just soundtrack. It just feels like you listen to it. Like, if you just listen to the score and I didn't watch the movie, like if I just went to someone on the street who hasn't seen Batman Begins and just told them, listen to this soundtrack and tell me, what is this movie about? Like, tell me, like, what do you think this central character to this movie is? People probably be like, oh, this has got to be something like just otherworld, like heroic. This has to be something like really major.
Oh, yeah.
And really significant. So, I mean, I think the Begin score killed it.
Classic trilogy. It's the original of the Dark Knight trilogy sound. It's, what can I say about it? I didn't realize how much of the Batman Begins score and the Dark Knight Rises score interlapped, because as I was listening to it, going track by track of Batman Begins, scores of like the end of the Dark Knight Rises was clear within this. The Dark Knight score doesn't quite have the same, besides that main Dark Knight trilogy theme, but the Dark Knight Rises revisits some of these sounds of like the woman singing faintly in the background.
And the one track that's like the whoom, whoom, whoom. Well, I don't know what it's called, man, but one that literally just sounds like the cape like flapping in the wind, kind of like rhythmically.
Oh, yes. Well, that sound is continuous in each of the. That's another sound continuous in the trilogy
it comes
scores.
back, but the key in the end of the Dark Knight Rises, like that specific sound comes back, and it's in like almost every track of this freaking Batman Begins score. So I really like it. And
this is the first score that truly sounds epic in terms of Nolan film scores. As you said, heroic. I mean, a lot of his scores go through waves within it. There's softer sounds, and then like full force, high volume.
His later scores, and like really starting with Begins, just sound like you could listen to it, and it's almost like an audiobook of the movie. Like you listen to it, and it takes you. If you listen to it front to back in order, obviously, like any album, but especially Rises, when we get to that. Rises has a lot of seamless transitions that if you just press play on the album, it does feel like you're just listening to one continuous sound. So, but a lot of those later scores of his do feel like just characters in and of themselves. And especially later on when he starts introducing leitmotifs like freaking Neil's theme and you know, the Joker's theme. But starting with Begins, I really think this, when I said earlier, like you could tell when he started to take the music in his movies like really seriously. It's almost like when he was developing Batman with Goyer, like there had to be some kind of discussion of like, okay, we don't want this music to just complement the movie like I did with Memento, or like I did with I know I made the Insomnia music because atmospheric and complements. The Memento score is paranoid and complements. Like, I think there had to have been some kind of discussion where he was like, let's make this more than just a supporting soundscape for the movie. Like,
Yeah.
let's make the music feel like its own entity that has the feelings and themes of the movie itself in it. And I
Yes.
think he started this journey with Begins. I think he perfected it with Inception, and I think ever since he's just been having a blast with it. Like,
Yes.
honestly.
There's
So,
definitely a
yeah.
shift with Batman Begins, and I think that has to do with Hans Zimmer coming on.
Yeah.
This is the first Hans
Yeah.
Zimmer score in collaboration with David Julian and what's his name?
James Newton Howard.
James Newton Howard.
Who
That's
did
right.
more prominent work on The Dark Knight.
Yes.
I think, like, maybe not a 50, like, Hans Zimmer, of course, is in The Dark Knight, but it really is a lot of James Newton Howard in The Dark Knight also.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost a 50-50 split, really, of, like, Howard and Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard, James Newton, James Newton, James Newton, James Newton, James Newton, James Newton. 6 of 14 tracks on here have a James Newton Howard credit. Like, the album says Hans and James Newton Howard, but then subtitles underneath certain tracks say James Newton Howard.
Yes. Let's see. Batman Begins score. Epic. Trying to
Yeah.
put-
Epic.
I know. I use the word epic a lot. My descriptions, I did write a lot, well, a few things for each score, but which scores do you know, the tracks? Does it get to a point in Nolan's filmography where you're like, oh, I know every track?
Most of Inception, most of Dunkirk, some of Interstellar, and Tenet and Oppenheimer. I could probably, like, if you named a track name, I could
Yeah.
And The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises kind of also. It's just the
Okay.
Batman Begins. I can't memorize those Italian.
I know.
names.
We can't even pronounce them. So.
I can't pronounce them. Any Italians listening to this, I'm sorry.
Oh, is it Italian or is it Latin? I don't know.
Or Latin. Just anyone who's watching this who can easily pronounce these because it's your native tongue, I'm sorry.
We apologize.
Yeah. But, like, The Dark Knight, like, I could name a couple of key tracks. Are we on The Dark Knight yet? Or
Not
Yeah, I was
yet.
going to say, yeah, never mind.
I'm trying to see if there's any questions hidden within here. In Macrotus, I don't know. There's a sound that reminds me briefly of the 5th Harry Potter film, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have, but I don't
Okay.
remember the music very well.
Well, it's a very quick sound after Voldemort leaves and battles Dumbledore, and then Harry's left, and I think it's that moment of when Voldemort kind of goes into his mind. That moment, there's a sound within that I heard in Macrotus that brought me to that moment in Harry Potter. But yeah, that was just a little thing I noticed. The Prestige.
Oh, yeah, we're not even doing the trilogy. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you got the little.
You mean one of your favorite, if not your favorite Nolan film? You forgot?
No, I didn't forget. I just we're like they talking about Batman Begins, and I'm just thinking about the trilogy. You know?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, hell yeah.
There's one in between each of them. But yeah, The Prestige. Your favorite, dare I say, Nolan film? Even though I know you fluctuate your response.
Fluctuate. Like, it might still be The Prestige, but
Okay. You should do it every year, a video you're ranking your favorite Christopher Nolan films, because it changes.
it's just tough because, like, the only reason it just fluctuates sometimes is because, like, it is pretty not my favorite Nolan score, and it's like I kind of like other Nolan movies more than this one in some ways, and sometimes not. But I don't know. Maybe I'll make a video this year. Who knows? But
Yes.
I do like the score for The Prestige a lot. I do. One of the reasons I do say it's not my favorite score is because whenever I watch it, I always kind of find myself wishing there were, like, mirrored kind of sounds or motifs for Borden and Angier. Like,
Yeah.
it just almost feels like a wasted opportunity. I was like, man, you could have done a lot more with the music in this movie.
Yeah.
And I'm not upset at the music that is in this movie. It is well done, and it is technically, like, objectively well-made music to go with a great movie. But just knowing what he's done like later in his career, whenever I watch The Prestige, I'm like, bro, like, there's just something missing with the score here.
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts on it. But,
I felt the same way.
Yeah, like,
I was expecting something greater for the score, especially because of the very interesting dynamic. Interesting is a poor word to describe the rivalry between Hugh Jackman's character and Christian Bale's characters. I don't know. It
worked for what it was.
Yes.
And it is probably, like, The Prestige is probably Nolan's most, like, maybe Oppenheimer's a new player in the discussion now, but I would, in the past, I would say that The Prestige is Nolan's most, like, three-dimensionally, like, character-driven movie. Like, It's a movie where the characters are all really, Angier and Borden feel like lived in human beings, and I can sympathize and empathize with their points of view. And I mean, there's movies like
Dom.
Yeah, I mean, just Dom, but most of the other guys in that movie just kind of serve their purpose as the character archetypes, and Tenet is everyone's just an archetype, and Interstellar has some of that too. I just mean across the board, The Prestige is probably his most character-driven movie, and so maybe he wanted the focus to be on that and less so on the music. Like, the thing is, the point I'm trying to make is I don't think it's a bad score or even a below-average score. I mean, it's good, but I personally just feel like, and I feel this strongly more and more every time I watch a movie, so I know it's not like a fleeting thought. Like, every time I watch it, I just feel strongly that there could have been more done with it.
Yeah, there was true potential here. It's another one by David Julian, and Hans Zimmer had something to do with the score a little bit. That same article I referenced earlier from MovieWeb, the description reads, "The great thing about Julian's work in The Prestige is that it perfectly fits with the elements of wonder present and awe in the film due to its focus on magic. All the magical pieces are constructed as a build-up for something bigger that is about to take place. Notable track, the string-heavy title song, The Prestige."
It complements. It just goes back to like what I'd said about the Batman Begins score, how he wanted to take that a step further. It just feels like he didn't take that step further with The Prestige. Like, The Prestige feels, if Batman Begins hadn't come out and it was just Memento into The Prestige, I'd probably be like, oh, The Prestige score, I'd probably look better on that. But knowing that he did better with Batman Begins, who knows, maybe he had more money. I mean, you got to remember at this point, like,
That's true.
Nolan's not a household name in cinema. He hasn't, like, taken the world by storm yet. He made Memento. Yeah, I mean, he made Memento, which was well received. He made Batman Begins only at that point, though. I mean, you got to remember, it's The Dark Knight that really, like, took off and made everyone turn their heads to Nolan. But at this point in The Prestige, I mean, they probably gave him more money for Batman Begins because it's a studio film like that. So he was like, I can afford Hans Zimmer. Maybe with The Prestige, he was like, all right, I got a little less money. I can't really afford as much with the music. So I would defend The Prestige score. I would just also kind of nudge it and be like, you could have been better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not bad. It's okay.
There's a difference between, like, there are scores that complement his work, like scores that complement any film, but with Nolan's, the scores eventually elevate the film, which is what is clear in Batman Begins, and then when it hits Dark Knight, it's like, then on,
take
it's
off.
like, take-off point. I was definitely curious about your thoughts on the Prestige score because of how highly you regard the film, but it not being as comparative in terms of, like, the top 5 as the other scores we're about to get into.
That's just, like, always the one thing that makes me reconsider Prestige as my favorite Nolan movie. I mean, the movie itself is just, like, perfect and it's incredible.
Yeah.
If the Prestige had a score that rivaled, you know, these later works, it would be easy, done deal, but Prestige would be number 1, easy.
Who would you want to score the Prestige score if you could insert another score in? Would it be maybe Hans Zimmer? Would it be Ludwig Göransson?
Someone he's worked with before? Yeah, I mean, I would probably say Ludwig. Seeing what Ludwig did with Sinners as a period piece score, I would have liked to see what Ludwig would have done. Because the Prestige it's not a period piece, it's a front and center focus, but it is a period. It doesn't take place in the present day. So, I mean, it is in some ways a period piece. So, I would have liked to see what Ludwig could have done with that. Did Oppenheimer as a period piece? But Oppenheimer's score is more about the character than the time period. Like Sinners' score, you listen and you're like, this feels like the setting too. You know? So I would have liked to see what Ludwig could have done with the Prestige score.
Yeah.
Hans, I feel like the story isn't like just crazy as
grand.
Something that would grand that would warrant a Hans Zimmer score, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight.
Yeah, this is one where I can start naming like tracks. This one also has some songs. Rises does this more, but there are some tracks on here that flow right into each other. Like you just press play and they flow right into each other. I think Why So Serious I love that the opening, obviously this is like the movie also, so soundtrack albums sometimes follow the movie, sometimes don't, sometimes a little bit of both. But I really like that the opening track of this Batman album is the Joker's theme. Is the Joker's, is that single escalating note of the Joker's theme. It's incredible.
You can just see the towers of the first scene.
Oh yeah, the first IMAX scene ever put to narrative.
Yes.
Like, god damn.
Only crazy. Nolan would have done that. What he's done.
I know. I wonder like how long it would have taken. If Nolan hadn't done it, what other madman would have looked at an IMAX camera like the size of this fucking room? Not really, but and been like, yeah, I want to shoot a scripted scene with that and not just use it for nature documentaries. Yeah, I think I want to do that.
Like people don't talk about that enough, that Nolan was with the Dark Knight.
IMAX,
Yes,
and continues to pioneer IMAX.
Yes.
We're talking, and Dunkirk probably has my favorite, quick sidebar, we'll get back, because there are some tracks I want to talk about, but Dunkirk is probably my favorite use of IMAX cameras in a Nolan movie. I mean, strapping IMAX cameras to not only airborne, restored military planes, but also filming dogfights in them. What the heck, man? What the fuck, bro? Like, sorry. All right, Dark Knight score.
I love that you mentioned the first sound of those. Is it
the first thing you hear? You press play on this album, you hear.
Yes, and then you're immediately in the first scene, opening scene, which is, I mean, it's debatable what has the best opening scene in a Nolan film, even within the trilogy.
In the trilogy, I say the Dark Knight Rises.
It's tough, but yeah, like, I mean, just nostalgia for me. That changed everything when I saw that on the IMAX screen. But Heath Ledger coming on to unrecognizable somehow. I rewatched that scene yesterday, and it's just the way he moves is so, you would never know that's Heath Ledger. It's unbelievable.
Especially coming right off Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah, Brokeback Mountain, yeah. Well, Brokeback Mountain, he had a film released every year since he started out with 10 Things. Every year he had one or two films, which just a tragic situation that he's not here. He's one of my very favorites.
You just know that he would have been one of those frequent collaborators with Nolan.
Oh yeah, I want to see Joseph. I wish I saw Heath Ledger and Joseph Gordon-Levitt make a Nolan film together.
Like, Nolan has his actors that he comes back and works with, and some that are one-offs, but I don't think Heath Ledger would have been a one-off.
Absolutely
no way.
No way.
He would have been in Rises. That would have been 2, and I think Nolan would have been like, shit, man, next original movie I write, you're in it. Like, would he have been in Inception? Like, would he have been in fucking? You imagine him, maybe not in Interstellar. Like,
oh my god,
I could have seen him in Tenet.
Oh my god.
Can you imagine? Heath could have been freaking Robert Pattinson's character in Tenet. Could have been Neil. You know what I mean? Like, maybe, but
it's hard because I love them both. So it's like trying to insert one.
No, I get
I feel like maybe younger Heath, early 2000s Heath, maybe not so much later Heath. I don't know. I feel like that's too easy of a role to be given after Joker.
After Joker, yeah, maybe, yeah. You might be right.
There's very few interviews of Heath talking about playing Joker, but he talks about how much he just enjoyed and had the most fun playing Joker, and how much he enjoyed the collaborative process with Christopher Nolan. He mentioned how they had an aligned vision for the Joker character, and he was even approached to play Batman, but Heath at the time was like, nah, not a big superhero.
No superhero shit.
Yeah. And then he changed his mind when he saw the world that Nolan works in to create the Batman in Gotham. And
that interview that you're talking about, like, I've seen that one, and it's probably my favorite. Like, you watch it and it's just like, wow, like, bless the freaking whatever entity is up in the sky, like, bless that these stars aligned. Like, just think about that. Nolan could have had every reason to be like, you know what, I'm not going to ask Heath to play Joker. He already said I don't want to do superhero stuff.
That's
so you know what, whatever. But you just have to know that even when Heath turned down Batman, Chris had to have seen something in it to be like, I'm going to change your mind one day. Like, I'm going to come to you with an idea. And he came to him. I want to know what the initial pitch for the Joker was. I mean, it's just like, Heath described it as like, that we both saw this kind of anarchist kind of character, but there had to be more than that. Like, I want to know, Chris had to have been like, imagine this character meets this character from this movie. Like, imagine this. And I want to know what that was, because for their visions to have been this aligned is just amazing. But you got to talk about the score.
I know. I could talk about Heath all day long. Well, actually, since we've been talking about the Joker theme, Hans Zimmer had talked with Nolan about Joker's motivation and lack of, how he represented no other principles other than pure chaos, force of constant chaos that continues without relinquishing. He needed the characters to react to Joker rather than understand him, and used a single note that was urgent and simple. Hans spent months trying to experiment with creating the Joker score. 400 tracks, 9,000 bars of music put on an iPod for Nolan to listen to on a flight to Hong Kong, one of his last location scouting in Hong Kong. And I forget if it was Nolan or Hans, maybe both of them, that says that it was a pretty unpleasant experience.
Yeah, I can imagine listening to like 200 different variations of what we got On a plane ride, like the most anxiety-inducing plane ride.
Yes, that is what Nolan reacted to after he heard. He found the unpleasant single cello note that slowly slides upwards in a glissando like a string that's being tightened and tightened without ever quite breaking. And it's more of a tonal experiment than theme, a sound of a greater dissonance fusing with metallic buzzing and scratching. Yeah, a little behind the scenes of creating the Joker theme. It makes sense that it starts out with the Joker theme, because within the first scene, it's like, oh, this is his playground now. We're in Joker's Gotham.
And it's an immediate way to show you what, like, again, this is in direct progress of the Batman Begins theme, where you see that theme try and largely succeed to act as a separate entity to the movie. And the things we just said about the Batman Begins theme, immediately off rip, track number 1 on The Dark Knight, you listen to this and then you think of the Joker, and that's this first sign of like, okay, the score is gonna mean something beyond just good music. Like this isn't just complimenting the Joker. This is, you listen to this and the Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker, is, you cannot think of him without that lingering note in the background. You cannot.
No, you can't.
You can think of, it's even hard for me to think of Batman Begins without thinking of the vroom, vroom, like that initial, but it's even more so with Why So Serious. It really is, and you got to commend it. But I do want to, we're talking about the score a lot, and I want to mention real quick, my favorite track on this score is Like a Dog Chasing Cars. I love that. And that is like largely James Newton Howard's work on that. I just like it. It's such an amazing track. I think so. I think it captures everything that this soundtrack is about.
That's awesome. One of my favorites, if not my favorite, too. Nice. It's exciting, it's thrilling, it makes you wholly invested. The
climax of like that, like the payoff to that song is just crazy. Track is crazy.
It's the Dark Knight sound before the classic Dark Knight chase music plays, and it transforms into a sound that's used in the opening scene, and then it drops before rising up again. And there's a sound from Oppenheimer blended in well, but it's brief, which makes it a little exciting. If I was fluent in musical knowledge, musical jargon, I would be able to label that more precisely, but I heard a sound from Oppenheimer within it.
I also appreciate just the naming of the tracks on this too. Like, you go from the Latin of Batman Begins, which sure, that shows some consistency, but I mean, this just feels like, when I say the soundtracks feel like their own characters, I mean, come on, look at Why So Serious for number 1, and then like a dog chasing cars, and I thought my jokes were bad. Watch the World Burn, and then having a Dark Knight at the very end, the theme of the character to begin.
Introduce a little anarchy.
Yes, man, like, come on, it's just so good, so good. It's
so good. Now, like a dog chasing cars, that was playing during the highway scene, the chase scene when Joker is in the truck and it flips over, and then there's like the hit me, right?
Hit me, yep. Like a dog chasing cars. I just love that line too. Like,
yes.
His delivery of that. Like,
just his voice, Heath's voice.
Chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do with one if I caught it. I've never thought about that before. Like, yeah, wait, if a dog actually caught the car, what the fuck would he do with it? Like, just the way Joker thinks, you're like, damn, I've just never thought, like, what would a dog do if he successfully chased a car? Then what, Like, I wouldn't know what to do with one if I got it.
I like the franticness in your impression there.
That's his.
Oh, Heath. I'm wearing a Heath Ledger Joker pin. I will add, I love this pin. My only Heath merch, I guess. I need more Heath merch. Inception. No.
Yeah, Inception is where he perfects, like, the...
I am so curious where this one ranks for you. This is a special
probably
place.
Like, just technically, it might be like just the best if we're speaking objectively, like, without putting my personal feeling, because it is a lean score. It's not even an hour long, and it doesn't need to be. That's the thing. Not that the others are over long, but this one is just like gets done what it needs to get done, and is like, all right, I'm out. I'm out. Like, that's it. Yeah, this.
I've been so excited to talk about this one because this is the one that Tenet and Oppenheimer, I know those, I can distinguish between different tracks, but Inception, I think, was the first one that I really like and listened to it on its own. And also on the DVD menu, I think it's Dream is Collapsing that's playing, and there's audio of one of the characters, I imagine Dom, that he's heard, and then when you go back from the menu a second time, it's no longer there. the vocal excerpt, but Dream is Collapsing is, I know Time is like the most epic, the most amazing score.
Time's epic, but it's not there's more. There's better on this soundtrack.
Which ones are your favorite?
Dream is Collapsing, but honestly, I honestly think from Half Remember Dream all the way to Dream is Collapsing, that acts as its own like single Half Remember Dream is only like a minute and a half long.
Yeah.
But it's wow. So yeah, Dream is Collapsing, I would say. Waiting for a Train is also incredible for me.
Yes.
And Old Souls. I mean, it's too easy for me to just name every single song on the track on this, but because I do want to say Radical Notion, it's tough. I'm gonna try. I just want to try to keep it to those because I could just name every track on here. But the Inception soundtrack just is, when I say it's like lean, mean, and just gets to the point. There's no filler on the soundtrack, which isn't to say that the others have filler, but the other soundtracks, mostly before this, because even Interstellar, I would say, falls guilty to this also. But a lot of his other soundtracks, there's like chunks of it that do feel like journeys, and then all of a sudden there's like this random like intercut where it's like, okay, this is good, I'm still loving what I'm hearing, but I feel like this journey I was on kind of stopped for a minute, so you could just show me some good music on the side, and shit, I'm here for it. But Inception is just like, you press play on that, you don't fucking press shuffle on that, you press play on that, and for 49 minutes, it's not even an hour long, for 49 minutes you are on this singular uninterrupted journey. Like, the tracks end at the right moments to flow into the others. The only track that I would say maybe does what I said the other ones do is freaking Mombasa. But the more I listen to the soundtrack, the more it does feel like part of the journey. But I remember the first few times I listened to it, I was like, whoa, I feel like the journey just stopped real quick, so you could just throw boom, 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 boom in me, and then we go back to the dream within a dream, but or one simple idea. But I'm not mad at it, because this whole thing is still less than an hour. So
that's an interesting, dare I say, hot take.
Really?
Because
I am thinking of the right one, right?
Yeah, Mombasa's the one where...
Yeah, okay, I am, yeah.
Yeah, Mombasa's the one where Leonardo goes to recruit Tom Hardy's character, and then he gets little hints he's being chased, and he immediately gets up and starts running.
It is abrupt, yeah. So.
And just like this track, it is abrupt, and it's a different sound than the rest of the Inception score. I mean, and also part of why it's hard for me to distinguish between scores is there's a lot of similar sounds within each of the the tracks.
Like Begins.
Yeah, there's not neighboring scores. It's like it's a shared sound that makes it harder to differentiate, like you would a song.
Motifs, like different musical motifs, cues or motifs that
But Mombasa is different, and it made me wonder because we'll talk about it more with Tenet. But have you ever driven while listening to Mombasa?
Oh, are you kidding me? Yes.
That's like another 100 miles per hour. Get off the road score.
Yeah, I'm not. I can't listen to that if I'm not on the highway. I'm not going in no school zone with this.
That's a dangerous score to drive to.
What you're saying about these similar and repeating cues and such, that's another thing though that really distinguishes Inception, is that it does share a lot of these. This movie arguably is the one that began the whole meme of like movie trailers having the bwomp, like the bwomp.
That's the first one.
Exactly.
That's the first that used the brom sound, which Hans Zimmer is so bitter about now.
Yeah, I mean, he had to know when he did that. He's like, this is going to get copied by himself too. But even with all the similar kind of sounds on here, each track does kind of stand on its own. Old Souls has that it's kind of slow for a little bit, honestly, before it gets pretty intense. Half Remember Dream has the first initial swell, but
that's quick.
Even that does its own thing. The only reason I say Mombasa is because when 528491 ends, it's Mombasa just abruptly. But to your point, and that's why I kind of defend it more now as quote unquote part of the journey, is because in the movie it is abrupt also. So it kind of would almost not make sense if it wasn't abrupt.
Exactly.
In the soundtrack. But yeah, I mean, this is a flawless soundtrack. This is one that, much like the movie itself, when that came, I mean, I was a little too young when this movie came out to see it for what it was, obviously, but looking back, it's just, I almost wish I was this age now, because imagine a movie like this. This is like the Sinners of this year, almost like an original, this came out in 2010 and people had to have been like, what on earth am I witnessing? And this was probably the first blockbuster to have an equally a soundtrack that is just as formidable and energetic and striking as the movie itself. Like, I'm not gonna say it was a first in 2010. At this point, I'm sure they were good. Like, I gotta go and really research dates and stuff and see where some of these other soundtracks lie. But man, Inception soundtrack, in my opinion, is just as monumental as the movie itself. Like,
Yes.
honestly, yeah.
Dream is Collapsing is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
528 and 491 is an underrated score. I love it. It's quietly epic and increases in volume.
And it's like in real, like, actual albums too. I mean, you get halfway through most albums, like, there's an interlude. It gets softer. Like, it follows a progression of an album itself. Like, I love music, man, and I love albums that feel like they're telling you a story, that feel like they're, but you know, those albums have lyrics. This does not, and without lyrics, it still just gives you the same. Damn, man. Yeah.
The Brahms sound was used in Dream is Collapsing, and now Hans Zimmer, he's not so crazy that it's so frequently used by other filmmakers because it's used to like hide and edit, he says, rather than use it as like a story device.
Yeah, that's the problem. It got overused because I think people realized, like, oh, we can just put this over anything and it'll sound just epic, and people not pay attention. Like, Hans did it with intent, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the final track on this album is, some would say, Hans Zimmer's career best, Time. This is probably my singular favorite ever. I was going to ask you originally if we, to like, top 5 scores just for films, and then singular tracks, top 5 singular tracks, but I don't know if I can come up with 5 singular tracks. That's too hard.
No, you could. It's probably mostly Nolan, but that's okay.
But it's so hard.
Most of mine would be Nolan, probably.
No, of Nolan's work.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Time is my favorite. It played when my life changed, when I realized, like, oh, this is the first...
This is what movies can be.
Yes, and then it fully launched me my first analysis on film, spending, like, 12 hours, 16 hours trying to, like, take notes on the film and figure out the ending. So this has a very special place in my heart, Time. It's just so good, and how it slowly quiets to singular piano keys before the score quickly ramps up just before it ends, as the film does, with one last hint of suspense and ambiguity with that totem. Does it fall? Does it not? It's just perfect.
Yeah, Time is like a legendary way to end that soundtrack too.
Yes.
Yeah, there's not much more I could say about it. You kind of said it all. Like, Time is insane.
The Dark Knight Rises. Oh. Now, this is another one that starts off with a very quick track, 36 seconds, as a storm is coming.
But transitions seamlessly right into freaking On Thin Ice. And the Gotham's Reckoning is also like a crazy energetic track that is so early into the album. And this is another one that echoes Inception, but stumbles where Inception doesn't, in making it feel like a journey. Like, there are a couple tracks on here that cut into, for a while there, I think until Underground Army or Born in Darkness, every track is a seamless transition into the other, and it does feel like one continuous song. And I think a couple songs later, it doesn't do that anymore, which, I mean, it's still fine. I'm just saying that's probably where it like ends in terms of seamlessness. But I would say that overall, there are tracks in Begins that stand out incredibly. There are tracks in Dark Knight that stand out incredibly, but I would say overall, as a front-to-back piece of work, Rises is probably the best of the trilogy.
Ooh.
And I also think that the track Imagine the Fire is also probably the best in the whole trilogy.
The Fire Rises
is also really good, and Why Do We Fall is also really good. And I really appreciate, and when I say seamlessness also, track 4, Mind If I Cut In, where Catwoman's theme is sprinkled in there, like, the song itself is called Mind If I Cut In. Like, it's interrupting the journey also that the thing is taking you on. It's just cool. Like, I just think as a fully realized piece of work, like, the Dark Knight Rises soundtrack does feel like the best of the 3 to me, just front to back.
You
know, not gonna lie.
I had the same opinion, and when I was slowly rating them, because I would rank them as I went, listening to the scores, I had a really hard time between the Dark Knight and the Dark Knight Rises, because there was a big part of me that was like, oh, I think the Dark Knight Rises is probably a little bit better.
It's no disrespect to the Dark Knight. Listen,
no,
Joker's theme...
we can never disrespect it all.
Joker's theme is as iconic as they come. A Dog Chasing Cars is one of my favorite tracks ever also, but it's just, as a front-to-back piece of work, Dark Knight Rises is something else, honestly, the soundtrack.
Also, the track Rise.
That's another thing, too. Like, you watch... So, I have the the trilogy on disc, and they're, you know this. Come on,
I
thick,
thought
like,
I was thinking music, like the album. I was
no,
like,
I wish. You kidding me? I would have brought it. I
know, we
wish.
needed something to take a
My
picture
friend
with.
Adolfo has Oppenheimer on vinyl. I almost would have been like, dude, hit me up. And
You almost swiped it from his house on your way here.
No, I couldn't do that. But
he wouldn't even know.
Rises is also more of strictly Hans Zimmer's work than just Dark Knight is Zimmer and James Newton Howard. I mean, Dark Knight Rises is Hans Zimmer's work, and one of the key points on the behind the scenes disc that I have that each of the movies come with, like Hans Zimmer talks about how he wanted it to feel like orchestral in a way, not just like instruments, but with the voices also. There was the key moments in the latter half of the movie where chanting becomes a big recurring motif because of the chanting of rise.
Oh.
Zimmer said that he read this in the script when Nolan showed him the script. Zimmer read this and he was like, I wonder if I can do this with like the music. Like, can the music be like this chanting orchestral? Like, so that's why a lot of the chanting is in some of these tracks too, where it's like the dish. I don't forget the exact like I forget how it goes like, exactly, but
you can hear it.
Yeah,
but it's hard to.
How they're saying it, like, yeah, man, I love it. I love this so much. Imagine the Fire is. Well, it just is incredible. I love that track so much.
A mix of a bunch of different sounds we've heard before on the score. The eventful rise chant enters the chat. Absolutely epic, and it feels like a culmination that would be on the final installment of a franchise. Now, Bombers Over Ibiza, Junkie XL remix.
Yeah.
Where did this come from?
I have no clue what this is doing on here. I really don't. Like, I wish I could save a version of this album that just doesn't. I guess I could just remove Bombers Over Ibiza, but it's just like.
Why is it there? Who put it there?
I genuinely have no clue. It had to be some contractual thing, like Junkie XL's got to put his remix on this.
Is it in the film?
No, I don't think so.
Then what is it doing
there? It might
be
in the credits. It might be in the end credits.
I don't know.
It's definitely not. There's no way this is the movie. That is not the movie. Like,
this is something you listen to at a club in Europe, specifically Ibiza.
Yeah, no, this is one of the. When I listen to the soundtrack, like as soon as Rise starts to end, I'm like, you ready to skip? Like I skip this every time.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Junkie XL. Your Mad Max soundtracks are great, but man, but get the fuck out of here. You get the fuck off this like Dark Knight Rises album.
No,
what are you doing?
No business. No, this is Nolan business.
Whatsoever. Yeah, man.
All right, now Interstellar.
Ooh boy.
Well, this is one of the most famous and most frequently used on social media. You always hear Cornfield Chase used in different posts. Many of these are just amazing scores, but it's so different, and that was the point, that Nolan wanted something different, and he wanted it to be the most personal score. It's more stripped down, and it doesn't use a big group of musicians. Hans suggested Nolan write a letter about the idea of Interstellar without revealing the story, which Hans never knew the story. He never saw a script before making these scores.
Just one note.
Just one note, just like little hints. So he wrote a story about what it means to be a father. And when the score was ready, Christopher Nolan was so excited that he came over. Hans played him a piece. And he says, well, I have to make the movie now. And then he explained the film. And just hearing that score, that first piece, helped him discover the heart of the story. The scene, I believe it's Miller's Planet, where they extend a score through time. I couldn't find a video about it, but I know what they're doing.
Yeah, like each tick in the track represents like a day or whatever. That's used in
Inception and Interstellar. There's a lot of brass players and a piano that creates a score, but it's very much the church organ. Cornfield Chase is one of the most famous. S-T-A-Y, not just stay. There's stay. And then S-T-A-Y. I love that one because it's this communication of like trying to connect, like a one-sided conversation almost, communicating into nothing. I mean, of course, No Time for Caution is like insane.
Mountains is also crazy.
Mountains.
And TikTok.
Yeah, is it Mountains that's used in the giant wave scene with the Miller's Planet? Yeah.
At first I thought it was Mountains. Interstellar is one of those scores that's like, I really, really like it. And like you said, it's really a lot more stripped down than most. And it does kind of, for me, forego the Journey-esque feeling of the progression of the album. Like, you press play on this and it doesn't so much feel like a journey as the last couple albums do. But I listen to this one mostly for, like, some of my favorite tracks. Like, it's rare that... This is a 2 hour and 19 minute album. It's very, very long, and a lot of it is very repetitive. This is one of the most like repetitive motifs and cues and stuff that Nolan uses in his music. And again, it makes sense because he wanted this to be stripped down. He wanted it to be emotional, so it makes sense that some of the same musical cues would start, compounding throughout the movie. It makes sense that it was executed this way, but I rarely ever visit this score to press play on it and just listen to the whole thing. Like I'll come to this score if I know, like the kind of the tracks we just mentioned, like Cornfield Chase, iconic, Day One, the original demo. I'm glad the original demo's on here because this is the music that Zimmer played initially in response to Nolan's letter. Like this is the music, not necessarily the Interstellar theme. It was this stripped down version, which of course are very similar, but some key differences also. But yeah, here's a lot more of an atmospheric album with these key poignant moments of like emotional swells and intensity, and then No Time for Caution, which is just unbelievable to me. And I would argue, and you would probably disagree, and I don't know if you should have this on camera, but it could like possibly be better than Time for me. It could possibly.
Whoa, hold on.
I don't know. I don't know. It could go back and forth. You could make a case for this being a better track than Time.
Ooh.
No Time for Caution.
Do you not have like an emotional connection with Time?
I do. Are you kidding me? Like I do, but No Time for Caution is okay. Look,
it's massive, extraordinary.
No, it's extraordinary, and it's also just when you think about it in the context of the movie, like, I don't want to maybe blow this out of proportion, but like in cinema and like storytelling, like there's these emotions you hit sometimes that you can put a finger on and describe, and then there's emotions that you cannot really put into words. Like, and it's the kind of emotion that I think Tenet kind of inflicts you with, and it's why at first it feels like an emotionally distant movie because the characters are not emotional, but the movie is kind of profound and hits you on this unspeakable way that you cannot really put into words. And No Time for Caution, that scene, I think hits one of those notes too. Like, and I cannot really go into this in detail because we'll just be here forever. But and to put this simply, the way that entire sequence is arranged from the moment that Cooper sees the explosion and understands that if I don't act right now, my kid, just the scope of what's at stake, I guess. And the way that the music, the way that No Time for Caution comes in as Cooper is taking on this role of, no, it's necessary. Like, just the way that scene progresses, I think hits that kind of unspeakable level of emotion also. I try to think about it and I try to put it into words, and it's like, it feels so grand and profound, but even that feels like an understatement. It's like, you cannot put into words what the impact and scope of that scene really does to your feelings, I guess. And so maybe it's because of that I would argue No Time for Caution might be better than Time. But Time hits those crazy emotions too,
Oh, yes, it does.
Man,
No Time to Caution is during the parallel editing of where Murph is trying to find a solution, trying to save Earth, and then McConaughey, Cooper is in, well, they're both Cooper, but he just continuously went by Cooper, and then Murph went by Murph. When Man, like, strikes his helmet, right? That's when he's like trying to breathe.
He is, and he's like, "What are you seeing? Are you seeing your kids?" Like most most parents see that before they die.
Oh man, what an evil man. Man, yes. I like how it ends with the reading of "Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night" with a few of the cast.
Me too. Let me pull the scores back up.
Yeah, No Time to Caution is definitely one of my favorites.
Day One Dark is really cool. The second half of Day One Dark is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And it's a thing. It's a lot of variations on the same musical passages. Like there's a lot of the No Time for Caution. You can hear that in some of the others too, and a lot of Day One you can hear in others. It's a lot of the same swells and notes, just varied, and I like that for what it is. But I come to Interstellar, the soundtrack, mostly for my favorites, not necessarily to press play on the whole thing, with exceptions, of course, but just most of the time.
Dunkirk's
awesome. Dunkirk is another one I come to for my favorites, but there are some serious favorites on here.
It was shorter than I expected it to be. There's only 11 tracks, but and this is
short.
Yes, that's
true. An hour and 45 minutes.
But the score is so forefront to the film, and we've talked about how there's a crowd of people who don't like Dunkirk. They find it boring because I think there's more silence, and the score really has its time to shine, and not just be in the background. It's another one that elevates it. In the MovieWeb article, Zimmer's Oscar nomination for Best Original Score for his work on Dunkirk is well deserved. The composer's work is a unique soundtrack to a film that features very little dialogue and runs like a ticking time bomb with no visible countdown. The style consists of his usual frantic tracks and the use of percussive sounds by improbable instruments in the orchestra. Notable track, the great and madness-inducing Supermarine.
Supermarine, yeah.
I loved Supermarine. That was a good one.
Supermarine is amazing, but low-key, The Oil might be the best track on here.
Yeah.
The Oil is absolutely insane.
Also the end titles. I really like the end titles.
Yes. And the mole is the starter to this. Like you said, this, and I'm glad you said that, or I guess the article said that. Well, I'm glad it was stated that like the movie in itself feels like a ticking time bomb. Very little dialogue, and from the moment it starts, you feel like this fuse is lit, and it's just gonna go off, and it's
like a spark moving in a circle. You hear it.
Yeah, man, and a lot of this is one thing I do know because I researched, whatever. I mean, I looked this up before when I started listening to the Dunkirk soundtrack for the first time, and I was like, this is amazing. What is this? And I just naturally came across this. It's called Shepard's tone.
Oh, yes.
What Hans does with the techniques on a lot of these tracks, especially Supermarine, like.
And the mole.
Yeah. Yes, and the mole. Like, where it's like, sure, I'm not providing the best explanation of what
I have an explanation for it if you would.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, please. Yeah, no, offhand.
Now, it was first used in The Prestige. It sounds like an infinite ascension, but it never goes anywhere because the top note drops down and the illusion continues. It's used in the sound of the Bat Pod and in Colorado Springs, the track off the Prestige score. But yeah, the mole is where it was really, I think, most famously used. Like a lot of Zimmer scores, the ticking sound, and we talk about the spark that's moving in a circle, and then there's a stopwatch sound with a haunting sense of danger, which makes for a beautiful score.
Isn't that Nolan's own watch, too?
I think so, yes.
That's what I always say. Like, it's Nolan's own watch.
Yes.
Kind of cool. I mean, it doesn't technically do anything, but it's just cool that he did that, you know?
Yes. Little Easter egg.
I just like that. This feels like, obviously, Hans Zimmer scores are, like, grand in scope and crazy and frantic, but this feels like the most, at least for Nolan's suite, like, 'cause Zimmer's done crazy other work, too, but for a lot of Nolan's movies, this feels like the most calculate. Like, it feels like there is precision and calculation to the score of this movie. And I guess because the Shepard's tone is a technical, like, achievement to, you know, it's a technical, like, it's a technique in music that's being used here. So there's just some kind of, like, mathematical, like, there's some kind of satisfaction I get from listening to the Dunkirk soundtrack. It scratches a certain itch that no other Hans Zimmer score can for me. None of his other music, like, when I'm in the mood for this really hits, man. The Mole is crazy. The Oil is such an insane sound to me, like this insane track to me. Just the way the movie is a ticking time bomb, this soundtrack kind of is also.
The Oil is the merging of the different timelines, right?
Yeah, man. I've shown Dunkirk to a few different people. Like, it's a hard movie to show people because it's one of those where, like, even though it's just disgraceful to me that it doesn't get the respect it deserves, unfortunately, I can see why a lot of people just cannot tune into this movie because there's no dialogue. It doesn't explain what it's doing. It shows you pretty small subtitles. 1, the mole. 2, the sea, right? And then the sky, right? And then it just assumes that or the air.
The air, yeah.
And then it just assumes that you know what it's going to mean by that. And it's like, all right, I'm doing that thing. And then scenes go from day to night to day. A boat here, and if you're not already in tune with what Nolan does in his movies, this movie will leave you in the dust. Like Inception and movies like that, Interstellar, at least stop for an exposition break. You know, Inception stops to give you the exposition. Interstellar stops to give you the exposition. Dunkirk doesn't explain what it's doing. It doesn't even, it says 1, the mole, 2, the this, but there's nothing to even suggest like that these are chapter. It's just like, oh, okay, the air, yeah, that's the air. You have to know what this movie's doing. And unfortunately, some people are just not going to. But the people that I've shown this to, the ones that I trust to, like, watch it and appreciate for what it is, when we get to the third act, every person I've shown this for the first time, when we get to the third act and you finally see the convergence and what Nolan is doing with time in this movie, I see in real time their minds, like, just explode.
Isn't that amazing when you show someone a Nolan film and they're just, like, blown away for the first time?
They're just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
They're just like, what am I watching and why is it working and why is this, like, incredible? Yeah, man.
It's one of the culmination scores. It seems like a lot of scores of Nolan's films have them.
Home also. Shout out to Home.
Oh, Home. Beautiful.
Benjamin
like,
Wallfish. I like Benjamin.
Oh,
He's done other
yes.
stuff too.
Aerial sound, climbing an elevation, beautiful score, epic score comes out of it. Tenet.
Oh,
Now,
boy.
can you please repeat what you texted me yesterday?
Let's pull up this text.
Yes, please read your text that you sent me yesterday afternoon. You did rewatch Tenet.
Gosh, man. I gotta read this out loud.
Yes, please do. Or I'll bring it up on the phone.
Okay. I've been listening. Okay, from Sammy to Elizabeth yesterday at 12:59 p.m.
Oh, very specific.
1:04 p.m. I've been listening to Nolan scores a lot over the past week. ... I truly believe that Tenet score, from a purely technical perspective, bro, is the single greatest soundtrack ever made for a film. LOL. But I followed that up with the Social Network score does give it a run for its money, though.
And then I mentioned Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
So, Sammy.
Yeah.
Do you stand by what you said yesterday?
Kinda do. Look, I'm just talking from like a musical production standpoint, from a like just technical and nothing else. Like, forget anything even emotional about it. Like, 'cause just a lot of the ways in which the music is made to also like how, words are like palindromes, right? Like, what's a I'm sure there's a musical term for this. I don't know it. I'm just going to describe it as a palindrome, but for music, I guess. That's the easiest way for me to... Is there a term for this?
No, but I wrote that in some of my notes. The scores feel like palindromes.
Because the movie... Exactly. So, like, I feel like in the same way that the movie invites you to look at the world, quote unquote, I guess you had me on camera, look at the world in a different way, in order to truly understand it, like, it's not... You have to be able to see it as two opposite timelines occurring simultaneously. You have to be willing to see reality that way. Otherwise, it's not going to make sense to you. A lot of the music is also, I feel like Ludwig was in there, like, how can I think of music in a different way? And, like, made a lot of these passages, and it's not the first time it's ever been done in music, where you play something that sounds the same backwards, but the way that it is layered and the way that it is mixed and inverted, the ways that the music is arranged, just, I feel like, I listen to a lot of other music, like instrumentals from bands that don't score for movies, just, instrumental, like, rock or jazz or folk, whatever bands that make these soundscape-esque musics, and I liken a lot of the production on Tenet's soundtrack to some of these greatest like bands that I listen to, and I could listen to this Tenet soundtrack without knowing the movie, and I would probably get like 95% of the satisfaction from there. Like, a lot of the satisfaction of the previous Nolan scores is because of the movie's attachment. Also, Tenet, yes. I could have never heard of the movie Tenet in my life, and I can listen to this and be like, this is legitimately like mind-blowing music that's going into my ears right now. Of course, you get the cherry on top from loving the movie and everything, but yeah, man, Tenet, I'll let you talk about this one for a bit, because like I can say a lot more about this soundtrack.
The fact that the first scene and the first track is Rainy Day in Talon is like, okay, we're in. The opening scene in the opera house, it is... Which
is also the last scene of the movie, if you think of it sometimes.
Yes.
Whatever.
Yes, that's true.
But this is a linear movie, don't worry.
It is linear. We boldly said it on the last Nolanception episode. Tenet is linear, but it is a palindrome of a film. Circular narrative that once you finish the film, you want to rewatch it, because that's where the film picks up. I don't know.
Picks up.
Picks up. That's it. This is his first collaboration with Ludwig Göransson. And he's one of us, because he saw Batman Begins at 15 in theaters and changed his life. So it's nice to know that someone who's like us, a massive Nolan fan, got in and is able to work with him to the extent that he has, winning an Oscar for the next film we're talking about, for his collaborations with Nolan. He called Nolan and Zimmer's collaborations groundbreaking. In the score, there's a lot of guitars, synths, organic instruments, a lot of manipulation, derailed and deranged, blends very well with the sound design.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of hidden messages within the score, and he even cited in an interview that Bach even wrote inverted music. He had to find new ways of recording, a lot of experimentation, which was a lot of fun, and he learned a lot. And he needed the music to enhance the story, very important to him, and he wants you to listen to the music alone and follow it with the story in your mind, which is one that it really does with Tenet, because we both regarded this one as one of the few that we know track by track. We know what's playing as we go through if we listen to the score separately from the film. There's a lot of distorted and reverb on the famous sounds you hear strongly in the first scene, and it gives a sense of danger coming. I have a soft spot for Meeting Neil because that means that Robert Pattinson's coming on screen. It's his theme, and it goes into the bungee jumping scene into the building.
Boom, 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 boom. Like, bro, what
and then
the
silence,
fuck,
and then
man?
oh, it's so good. 747 is the one that if Sammy's listening to it on the road, get away as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Oh, it's insane. Freeport is another favorite of mine.
Foils was my ringtone for a long time.
Really?
Yeah. Satyr is just gross.
Oh, it's satyrs. I analyze that as like the killer of Mother Earth. Mother Earth is gasping for air, using all of her might to breathe. There's that breathy sound, and then this like strike down score. I don't know how to describe
somewhere
it.
a man in a crystalline tower flips a switch. And Armageddon is, but yeah, man, the thing about the score to Tenet is like the movie itself is Nolan at his most like, I think this is really his most exciting, like fun movie yet. Like this is a movie where you do not have to be emotionally in tune with it to enjoy it. And you know, Batman you get invested in emotionally, Inception you get invested in Dom, and so these movies.
That's true.
Tenet, like,
I guess.
Tenet, I think any motherfucker could have played the protagonist. In my personal opinion, there is very little special about John David Washington's performance in that movie, but I do not think there needed to be anything special. It's a movie that operates once you get in tune with what it's doing. You're like, dude, fuck yes. It's
we don't even know the name. Sorry to cut you off. We don't
No,
know the name
you're
of
right.
the
Exactly.
protagonist, so we can't quite connect with him to the same degree as like Dom.
You just can't. And Satyr, as awesome as he is, like just as a presence, is just okay. You're just an abusive, fucking toxic ass, like despicable man of a husband. Cool, I've seen that before. Cat, amazing. Elizabeth Debicki makes the character her own, but at this again, just damsel in distress. What's special? Characters aren't special in this movie. Even Eyes, you're just okay. You're just the token, like cool, know-it-all mission leader. You know, everyone is just an archetype in the movie, and it's fine. It really is. But in the way that the movie feels like Nolan kind of stepping, just wanting to low-key just have fun with it. Like he wasn't making this movie to make some. The score feels the same way is what I'm getting at. Like he's working with modern producers. Like the score feels modern and electronic, but not in a way that feels like such a departure. You listen to this and you're like, hey, this is a natural progression. This feels like a next step for Nolan he's stepping more into the modern era now for music, and he's like accepting more newer kind of sounds. And this obviously continued in Oppenheimer, which won this motherfucker an Oscar. So
don't try and understand it, just feel it.
Yeah, man, it's pretty great. Like there's just posterity. Like if I ever have like 13 minutes where I know I can listen to a song uninterrupted. No, seriously, like because there's some long songs, like even from other rock bands and stuff I listen to. So like sometimes I want to listen to like a long song, and if I know I have 12 or 13 minutes and I'm doing something, I'm like, fuck it, let me throw posterity on. Like why not?
It's a wild one.
Working with Travis Scott too, like.
Well, that's what you said when you talk about modern. It does mark a change in Nolan. Not only is he working with a different composer, and that he's been frequently working with Hans Zimmer, it is more modern. It's refreshing, and it's different. It's experimental in an interesting way. And using Travis Scott, like this is the first film that he uses an artist integrated with the score, and it's introduced in Trucks in Place, the plan, and
you hear it. It's like a thing. Even in Trucks in Place, like when he first gets onto the truck and when he blows the door off the truck, like you hear Travis like you hear that. And you're like, I was showing this movie to my friend for the first time, who's a massive Travis Scott fan, and he said some things that I kind of made me like think differently too. But he listened to this, and that's a massive Travis Scott fan, and he watches, and we get to the Trucks and Place scene, and he's just kind of like geeking out. We're hearing this, he's like, bro, that's Travis, like that's Travis Scott, like one of my favorite rappers, like in a fucking Christopher Nolan movie, like what? Yeah. But it's this experimental, like seemingly unexpected collaboration, but also does kind of feel natural. Like it does. Travis in his own realm is kind of pushing boundaries in music and production, in my opinion, as someone who enjoys music like casually, I guess. Like I think Travis pushes boundaries in terms of production in a lot of the same ways that Nolan was trying to push the boundaries of narrative, like filmmaking, and with Tenet. So I think it was a good collaboration.
Great collaboration, but I was definitely surprised when I first heard the news of like, oh, a Travis Scott with Nolan film. I was like, he's never done that before. But The Plan was one of my most listened song of that year, because I love it.
Plan's
so
awesome.
Good. Now, in retrieving the case, I don't think you're gonna know this. If you do, I would be blown away.
What?
The beginning of it reminds me a little bit of a Britney song called "Touch of My Hand." It's this like hidden gem. Like she wishes she made it a single, and I do too. It's like the one song, if she can make a single, it's that one. But there's like a hint of it in Retrieving the Case.
In this, like
that. You
Really?
hear that in Touch of My
Yeah.
Hand, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I'll
interesting.
play it a little bit for you after.
Interesting.
But yeah, there's who would have thought like my
Yeah.
favorite, like Britney and Nolan merging right there a little bit.
The Algorithm is also a crazy track
Ooh,
too.
yes.
I love it.
Yeah, that was a little bit quiet for a while.
A little bit, but then it kind of just built.
Yes.
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the posterity is legendary.
Oh,
Rainy Night in Talon.
Yes.
Foils. Red Room, Blue Room. Because Red Room, Blue Room in this movie is a crazy scene also.
Oh yeah, beginning of
unbelievable.
discovery, and it starts with this pain sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, the inability to breathe.
I gotta say, Betrayal, like, is one of, in my opinion, like, one of the most emotional, like, pieces of music I've ever heard, like, in my life. And it's such a,
Wow.
I don't know, man. Sometimes I listen to Betrayal and I'm like, holy crap, why do I feel, like, so sad right now in the middle of, like, Target?
That's
like, what
so
the fuck?
funny
Like,
you mention that.
Betrayal is something about just it's just a escalating two-note.
Yeah.
Just something about the specific sound is just hits me in a certain way, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
I was getting a little bit depressed listening to the Prestige score. I don't know why, it was just dark, and it got to me, like, or maybe just because you were texting me like, oh, I'm watching a Nolan film today. I was like, I'm not watching a Nolan film today.
Oh boy.
Oppenheimer.
Oh yeah, okay,
The
let's
most
do it.
recent Nolan film, the film that earned him 7 Oscars. He won 2, and Nolan suggested the solo violin possibly having a relationship with Oppenheimer's neurotic energy, since it can be warm and romantic, but the slightest change can make it horrifying and edgy. Oh, does it? It's a type of music that Nolan hasn't worked with before, and since Oppenheimer pushed boundaries, Ludwig wanted the music to do the same, and oh, it did. Historically expansive and deeply personal, it draws the audience into the emotional dilemma of the character or characters. Oh, that reminds me, I wanted to say something about Inception. Inception score was made focused on the inner state of Dom, which was a little different from the other scores in Nolan's films. But I wanted to mention it because it's almost like Hans Zimmer took a page out of Alberto Iglesias' book. He is the frequent composer of Pedro Almodovar's work, and we are going to watch an Almodovar film one day, because
Hell yeah.
I know it'll make you like a greater filmmaker, because he's insane.
Okay.
But they're regarded as one of the best director-composer collaborators, and all the music reflects the inner state of the character, of the main character, and that's used in Inception. But just reading that now just reminded me, and I wanted to point that out, because I mention Almodovar in every episode now, so
Nice, okay.
it's just, he's one of the greatest ever. Well, the making of Can You Hear the Music, which is probably going to be regarded as one of the best scores of this century, of this decade. And you talked a little bit about it in the Oppenheimer episode, how it was a hard song to record.
Tough, because they had to keep on like doing that. It was like one continuous take, pretty much. Even said in the behind the scenes disc on that I was watching, they were like, we could have just recorded each section separately and then stitched it all together. Like, it could have been done that way. We just felt it was more authentic to do it the other way, so they did.
Yes, like Nolan using practical effects.
Yep. This movie means so much, like, to movies as a medium, like, and the score is one of those reasons, man. It does feel like a journey, much like the best of his scores do. I really think so. Like, I love the music so much. The violin, like, serving as his mental state, as this thing that guides you throughout the score. It takes you through these different sounds, but through it all, that violin is there. And every time you listen to the violin at any certain point in the score, you're just like, all right, based on the violin sound, you can tell how Oppenheimer is feeling. You're like, okay, we're chilling. Okay, wait, we're not chilling. Like, the score feels like this friend, this like companion that's like, I don't know, man, kind of taking you somewhere. Really cool, really cool. You even stop for the whole Ground Zero, then Trinity, and what we have done. Like, you even stop for the Trinity test, you know, like, power. Man, there's some incredible tracks on here. Fusion is insane. Theorists is one of my favorite tracks ever, man. Theorist is
Fusion
so good.
is insane.
Fusion's crazy.
Fission, that is
Fission.
where
The
you
Trial.
first see I love the trial.
Yeah.
But Fission, that's, I mean, in the first scene of Oppenheimer, we hear that violin in that descent, that very unnerving downward spiral descent, like loneliness, darkness, and guilt, I would say, in some ways.
It's amazing how much emotion can be conveyed by just like one string
Yes.
of a.
Yes.
Yeah, like what?
It's unbelievable. I'll never forget the feeling that it provoked the first time seeing it in
the movie
IMAX.
just started. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, what? Like it's going deep within you. It's insane. Can You Hear the Music is one of the greatest film scores in Nolan history.
Meeting Kitty and also Kitty Comes to Testify. Both are like.
Yeah.
And Destroyer of Worlds.
Love Destroyer of Worlds. American Prometheus is a favorite.
And Los Alamos.
Los Alamos. Fusion I really love. Trinity is like, oh, here we go.
Trinity is great. Trinity is tough to listen to sometimes because there's just like 7 minutes of that.
Yep.
I'm just like, okay, sometimes I'm not really in the mood to listen to this right now. So I just can't. But it's good.
Oppenheimer, the last song, end credits song.
And the score, too, something I also appreciate about the score that, like, also is present in the movie also, and I guess it makes sense because the score follows the movie's progression, but, like, movie also starts off with a sense of wonder and magic and love and respect for science, and then kind of becomes more fearful and becomes more dark and, like, horrible and depraved, and, you know, you get in the movie, like, a lot of the really cool, memorable inserts are in the first half of the movie. I don't really see them a lot at all in the second half. If you do, they're like explosions, not necessarily the atoms and the wonder. So the sense of wonder that begins in the movie and kind of wears off throughout is also present in the score. You get a lot of the quantum mechanics, gravity swallows light. Like you get a lot of those like nice, more shiny, glimmering, like hopeful sounding tracks in the beginning, and then
curiosity.
Yeah, man, exactly, curiosity. And then as you go on, like then you get Power Stays in the Shadows, like fucking something more important, Destroyer of Worlds, Dr. Hill. Dr. Hill's a good one, but Ground Zero, so.
I think you described Destroyer of Worlds as like stripped from, I mean, you kind of reiterated it now, but in the Oppenheimer episode, I believe, it's just like stripped of all happiness tone. It's just dark
and
and
just what have we become,
empty,
what's happened. Yep.
I do like Dr. Hill, that's another good one. American Prometheus is, I think I said it, one of my favorites. This is a landmark, another elevation of Nolan's work and scores. This is one of the best and makes me even more interested and excited for what they're cooking up for The Odyssey.
I'm just really happy when artists like work together and like just push each other's boundaries. Like I don't know, man. I'm really hopeful for the future of Nolan and Ludwig collaborations because Ludwig is younger than Ludwig is like he's probably still more hungry. I want to say more hungry than just Ludwig is in that young era where this is where he's gonna do the most of his experimentation. Like this is where he's gonna really make a name for himself. And I'm glad that he has this director like Nolan who's pushing Ludwig's boundaries, and Ludwig is taking this material that Nolan's giving him and using it as motivation for. He's like, oh, this is a movie about Oppenheimer in this way. Like, let me make the music like this. I like this whole violin thing. With Tenet, like wanting the music to complement the story. You know, I like it. And what he did with Sinners, like, I'm really, really excited for the future of Ludwig's career. And with The Odyssey, I can only imagine Ludwig is probably experimenting with ancient Greek instruments or some bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be some.
He's tucked away.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Doing something.
Can't wait.
I mean, he has 2 Oscars under his belt, right?
Yeah, man. Like, what the heck?
Before we close out, top 5.
Frick. Okay, man. I can name 5. I don't know about like top 5. Okay, I'll try, man.
Okay. I'm figuring out mine as we go.
Yeah, man, I cannot top 5. I can just name 5 of my favorites. And it'll be Oppenheimer, Tenet, Inception, The Dark Knight Rises, and probably Interstellar.
Okay. My number 1 favorite is Inception.
Okay.
I'm too attached to that one. That score means a lot to me. But the ones that just off the top of my head that I put down as top 5, The Dark Knight Rises, Tenet, Oppenheimer, and Interstellar.
There you go. I think we got the exact same.
Is it the exact same?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Right.
I was typing as you were thinking.
Those are kind of the best, like, I think, in my opinion.
I think they are. I mean, there's, again, not one bad score. And individual tracks gets even harder, but thank you so much for joining me today, Samy. I love having you on, and these are my favorite episodes to record.
Let's go.
I've been looking forward to this one, again, for a while, and I'm sure we're going to easily come up with the next topic for Nolanception, the greatest segment all the film thinks has ever seen.
Yeah, let's go.
Now, you have a short film, Anatomy of a Panic Attack.
I do.
You just launched an Indiegogo campaign.
I did launch an Indiegogo campaign. Link is in my Instagram biography text body.
I thought you shot some of it before.
I shot a teaser trailer for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can tell about the story?
No.
Okay, no, that's
No,
fine.
no. It's just
All right.
it's a very psychological. You should watch the teaser trailer.
Yeah. Barefoot Python
imagine-
Media on YouTube.
It's internal mental processes kind of personified as a physical power struggle.
Yes.
That's what I say in the Indiegogo campaign. So let's go.
And you're already thinking about releasing the film later this year?
I
Or
would
is it
like
next
to.
year?
Yeah, I would like to. We'll see how festivals respond to it
Yes.
if they do.
I think they will. You don't want to go into the influences, the two major influences,
We
because
can. I mean,
Okay.
anything that I've already put out about it, like I'm fine to share.
okay,
Like, I mean, anything beyond that, probably not. but-
because it is inspired by one particular Nolan film.
Yes, I say like part of the pitch was that it's paranoid affliction of Memento meets the existential duality of Enemy. So,
Intriguing. I'm very excited for this short, as I am with all of your films. I think they're all just excellent.
thank you.
Is there anything else that you want to share about that project? I know it's under wraps mostly, but it's coming soon.
It'll be fun. I'm gonna learn a lot on this. There's a lot of lighting stuff I want to do with this one, so I've been watching a lot of lighting tutorials and just fucking learning. So we'll see.
Mhm.
Yeah,
All
it'll
right,
be fun
that's
to
a
make.
good teaser. Is there a film recommendation, a line from a film, really anything you'd like to conclude our episode with today?
A film recommendation?
Or a line from a film, or really anything you'd like to conclude our episode with today?
Oh man.
Can be another plug for your film, for your work.
No, just go watch a good movie. Just
Oh, keep
go
it
watch
simple.
something good. Yeah.
Okay.
Watch something off your watch list. Watch
Okay.
something new.
That you've been it's been on your watch list for years.
Yeah, like knock it off that watch list. Come
Yeah.
on, it's getting sad over there. It's watching the watch list get bigger and bigger, and it's like, hey, don't forget about me. So go knock it out.
This little guy waving. I
No.
mentioned the Truman
And
Show
also,
now.
let's get Mindhunter back for
Ah.
for those 3 2-hour movies. Let's go.
You
Let's
have
go.
some hope there with recent
Yes,
news.
because this is like the best possible hope we've ever had. There's been a
Yeah.
lot of rumors and quote
Mhm.
unquote since the show got canceled. I felt like every other month, like Mindhunter could return, but this is like the first like hopeful sign, like that Fincher actually stated that yeah, if the scripts are good, we'll do these movies. So I mean, fuck, bro, shit. And also, let's hope Jurassic World Rebirth is good.
Yes.
All right, yeah.
The main reason for me to see it is Scarlett Johansson. For her to say yes to it makes me think, okay, it's going to be really good. And she's attached to the Jurassic franchise since she was a kid. I love how she manifested that. But I want to reiterate that your YouTube channel is Barefoot Python Media on
Hell yeah.
YouTube. You also, since the last episode we've done, I think you created the Barefoot Python Media Instagram.
Mm.
And, of course, you have your own Instagram, which I'm sure you can find easily on all the film things. And, yeah, check out the Anatomy of a Panic Attack teaser trailer and donate to his campaign. I'm
Yo, hell
hopefully it'll still be live by mid-July so people can donate.
Should. It's 3 weeks
Oh, okay.
starting from the other
Oh.
day when I.
It'll be close.
Hell yeah.
So donate fast. I'm going to say Inception because I didn't get to watch it ahead of this episode, so watch it for me.
Let's go. Okay, watch it for me.
Please.
Yeah.
I love this.
Insomnia. Let's give Insomnia some love.
Yeah,
and
let's
watch that.
Insomnia. Yeah, check out Insomnia. One of the lesser known Nolan films. Yeah. Thank you again for joining me today, Samy. Thank you all for listening. And Samy, can you hear the music?
I can hear the music. You have started looking at the world in a different way.
Bye, everyone.
Peace out. Till next time.
Special thanks to Samy El Kamel, Dr. Gillian Smith, Caitlin Miranda, and Christopher Nolan. This episode was recorded on June 26th, 2025.